Chapter 11. Dr. F's arcade is seriously the best, and for Celia, it's home. The VK's 4 motorbikes landed amid the lively atmosphere of the French Quarter. Mal removed her bike helmet and immediately brought her hands to her face. The deep wrinkles, saggy skin, and old lady hair had been replaced by her flawless complexion and signature lush purple locks. The powerful curse of Audrey's scepter had been broken. "Hey, I'm me again," she said with a grateful laugh. "Duh, evil magic doesn't work here. Kind of the point," said Celia. "Whew, welcome back," Evie said. She threw her arm around her pal, relieved that the spell had lifted. "Thank you," said Mal, ecstatic to be back to her old self. She smiled, then followed Celia as she led them down a dark, run-down lane. Celia looked around her hood and realized it felt good to be home. She walked past her fortune-teller table and stopped suddenly in front of a magenta and gray painted door with Pas de Ranger stamped across it. For those new to the French Quarter, that meant "Do not disturb." Celia was all smiles as she knocked 6 times in a rhythmic pattern. Tappity tap tap tap. It answered by a second series of elaborate knocks. Tap 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 tap. The whole thing was very cool and cryptic. The veteran VKs were impressed. Celia knocked out one more secret code, and the thick steel door slid open. The 5 travelers pushed through a set of opaque curtains, then entered the shrouded hideaway through the open mouth of a 40-foot-tall, laughing carnival mask. Dr. Facilier's voodoo arcade was spelled out above them in neon lights. Several of the letters had burned out, but that only added to the atmosphere. The rowdy room was packed with villain kids of all ages. There was no arguing that Dr. Facilier's business was booming. Dr. Facilier, looking rakish in a magenta crushed velvet suit and a silk top hat with a purple plum, greeted his daughter with pure delight. "Hey!" he said, tossing his walking stick to a nearby customer. He rushed to meet Celia on the arcade floor, where the two busted into an impressive coordinated dance. The adorably elaborate routine was clearly the way the pair greeted each other all the time. With the secret salutation complete, Dr. Facilier hugged his daughter tightly. "Come here, you little rascal." His face was illuminated with the kind of joy brought on by an excellent surprise. It was clear from Celia's giant grin that she was equally elated to see her pops. Mal and her friends took in the sweet family scene and exchanged heartfelt glances. Dr. F and Celia were like 2 thieves in a pod. It was so different from the other VK's experience with their own parents. They weren't used to seeing love like this in a villain family. It really was quite something. Dr. Facilier glanced slyly at his celebrity guests, leaned into his daughter, and whispered, "What kind of hustle you got going on with the shiny people?" His eyes glinted with mischievous approval. "No hustle," Celia said, smiling. "I got friends on the other side." "I hear you," said her dad, his eyebrows dancing with understanding. Celia scanned the room. She looked past mysterious pin dolls, half-melted candles, vintage strands of beads, and assorted glass trinkets, and finally focused on a wall near her fortune-telling nook. She headed straight for it. The tassels and pom-poms that adorned her outfit swayed as she walked. She retrieved a mysterious skull-shaped key from the wall and placed it around her neck. Dr. Facilier looked at her questioningly. "We're on a mission," she explained conspiratorially. "I'm kind of a major player, so that's why I can't stay long," she bragged brashly, hoping to impress her father. It worked. Dr. Facilier looked at his mischievous daughter with what was clearly pride. "Just make sure you get your cut," he said, beaming. Toward the front of the arcade, Carlos stood in front of an ancient antenna television and put in the 2 tokens it required to start. The beat-up set sprang to life, and an Oradon newscast revealed that evil things were afoot across the sea. "Alerts of a sleeping spell keep coming in as it spreads throughout Oradon," said the anchor, reporting live from the circular driveway at Oradon Prep. Guys, come look at this," said Carlos, Dread filled his face. Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos gathered around and watched the news in dismay. There are rumors that Sleeping Beauty's daughter, Audrey, is behind the spell, continued the reporter. We are trying to discover who is responsible for these vicious lies and which evil villain perpetrated this evil. The anchorman cocked his head, listening to his earphone, and spoke with urgency. We have an update. It's moving this way. It's moving. Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos sprinted outside, ready to rush back to Oradon and save the kingdom. There was just one problem. They had no way to get there. Harry, Hook, Gil, and two of their nasty pirate buds sat astride the VK's motorbikes. Based on the laws of the street, their bikes were pirate booty now. The scallywags had even stolen their helmets. Wow, rookie mistake, said Carlos, feeling foolish. The VKs knew better than to leave anything of value sitting out in the open around the aisle. Captain Hook's son, who had a permanent smarmy smirk etched across his face, raised his left arm and mock saluted Jay with his fake hook. Long time no see, said Harry, his words drowning in his Isle pirate accent. Get off my bite, Hook, Jay said as the pirate rode off. Jay leapt deftly over random street rubbish to run after his bite. Catch me if you can, Jay, Harry dared him. His striking green eyes sparkled as he scooted down the French Quarter Avenue. Gil, son of Gaston, drove off next, wearing a brown leather shirt over his sizable biceps and a brown bandana over his matted, dirty blonde hair. He took his hands off the handlebars and waved his muscular arms in the air as he drove by. Jay surveyed the French Quarter Street, formulated a plan, and then, as if calling a play on the tourney field, instructed the others where to go. Over the roofs, we'll cut them off, he exclaimed, and scurried up the side of an old shack. Evie and Carlos followed Jay's lead. Celia started to join the fray, but Mal grabbed the collar of the little fortune-teller's splashy jacket and brought it to a swift halt. Hey, Mal said. They got this. You and me gotta go find the Emperor. Good timing, Celia snapped her fingers. It's right about his nap time. She turned on the wedge heel of her magenta booty and led Mal in the opposite direction, through the maze of twisted alleys.